on now. Is he in the front there?
What?
Where is he?
Just turned.
No, he just moved it.
Lined up.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to start with a congratulations to all the seniors in the audience today. Many of you have triumphed over personal and structural challenges to get to this point here today. Prized by Rebecca Black and Call Me Maybe. If we can do this, I think we can survive through any conditions, including the big unknown college.
Over our 4 years at Highland, we've seen many individual and team achievements in our athletics. We won conference championships in football, volleyball, girls soccer, boys basketball, Nordic skiing, boys hockey, no wait, sorry, not boys hockey, gymnastics, baseball, tennis, boys and girls track, and many more. Countless of our fellow classmates have gone to state in their respective sports. We have a state champion in badminton. We have played out our sports careers with one goal in mind: beat Central. Time and time again, we have had our backs against the wall and have pulled through. Sports in high school are a core experience. The teamwork, pride, and discipline learned applies to success in any part of life. The resilience of Highland Park is seen by the spirit and the effort of the class of 2013.
In our time at Highland, we've seen some interesting things within our own walls as well. From teachers in funny costumes, to the day the lights failed and we had our first and only food fight, to Dr. Tucker performing rap for us on video. One of the most unexpected moments might be in 10th grade when one of our boys found a baby squirrel in the courtyard and carried it around in his pocket for the day. The admin may not have been too pleased with that, but it's just one of the many things that made our time at Highland our time at Highland.
Think about our shared entertainment, the inclusions of Twilight, Harry Potter films, movies like Batman, Avatar, Avengers. They've entertained us, made us laugh, and sometimes changed our lives. Over our last 4 years at Highland, these movies have affected us more than we may ever know. When we were thinking back on our 20-year reunion, these movies and their music and the video games that we have all enjoyed will reframe our memories of high school.
Remember when they said the world would end and it didn't twice? The Rapture and the End of the Mayan calendar are episodes that we will always connect to our time in high school. People in the world around us continue to say the world was going to end and our futures would be non-existent. But even when we hear these messages, we have pushed on and worked towards creating our own bright futures.
The last 4 years were an exciting time for books. There were the books we were supposed to read, didn't, like Light in August and Great Expectations, but there were also the books that we chose to read, like Harry Potter and The Hunger Games. These books were made into the movies we watched, the television shows we loved. A generation is defined by the literature it produces. Our generation will be defined by one of us writing about our shared experiences and triumphs. I hope to see your names again someday on the bestseller list.
Our time at Highland has been defined by outside factors, music, athletics, and movies. But we will shape our own future by our own strength and determination.
Thank you, Highland Park, and congratulations.
speech is being given by Miss Anna Krieger, chosen by the other students in our academic top 10.
Hello, class of 2013. Woo! So, first off, I'd like to say congratulations. It really does feel nice to see out something that we've spent about 12 years of our lives on. And it's also a bit frightening. There are a lot of things that are expected of our generation, and a lot of things that are being said. We are the generation that will find a solution to global warming. We will respond to the information boom as the first generation to grow up with the internet. And we will deal with resource depletion and the development of alternative fuels. We will work with new economies growing and booming in Africa and Asia. National Geographic even claims that someone born in our generation will live naturally to 120 years old, which is really quite impressive. But National Geographic also averaged all of the world's demographics and found that the most typical human is a 28-year-old Han Chinese male. So statistically, he's much more likely to get 120 candles on his cake than I. So I guess I can't get my hopes too high in that one. This past summer, I was surfing on the internet and I found a news story that I found quite hilarious. I didn't realize it then, but the story was profoundly striking. It demonstrated quite well how I hope our generation will work with the expectations that have been given to us. Pitbull is a 32-year-old Miami-based rapper with several #1 Billboard hits. This past summer, Pitbull's agency signed him up for a promotion that involved people liking their local Walmart on Facebook, and then he would go visit the Walmart with the most likes and do a meet and greet. Of course, this went terribly awry when the rest of the internet smart Alex got a hold of the promo, and thus Pitbull ended up on a flight to Kodiak, Alaska. When he landed, he made his way to the local Walmart. Yes, here he is, with that nice taxidermy bear. He also met with the locals, who took a strong liking to the rapper, gifting him with a musical performance and bear repellent spray, which I'm sure will come in handy in the rap industry someday. Pitbull could have had his company canceled because he was obviously the butt of a pretty funny joke, but he went along with it and actually had a lot of fun on his crazy Alaska trip, which is pretty cool. And if I were to make a crazy metaphor with Pitbull being all of us and Alaska being the remote, uncharted tundra that is post-high school life, I'd say have fun with it. Just like Pitbull didn't define himself by his situation, I hope that we don't define ourselves by the problems that our generation is facing, but by our solutions. There are a lot of creative answers out there. We have to be so creative that none of the other generations will know what hit them. Just as today's adults could not have imagined what we take for granted with the internet, we are also unable to imagine what the next generation will take for granted with alternative fuels and new economies. Suddenly, boom, space cars and dark energy adapters and maybe Google Glass will catch on. So, if someone tells you, you're destined for greatness, Mr. Poca, or you're the avatar, you're our only hope, or even, you've got to catch them all, I hope that we can do it in a way that is unique to us. For some, that may be growing up and owning 2 cats, and for others, it may be growing up and owning 23, to each their own. As we enter into adulthood, we are living in an increasingly complex, innovative, and competitive world. For us, adaptability is key. Don't even be defined by my words. If you're really feeling the first world anarchy, stick it to the man by actually living to 120 years old. And if that doesn't quite work out for you, just remember, there's always money in the banana stand. Best wishes 2013.
Thank you, Ms. Landro. Good evening. It is an honor to be here with you tonight. When thinking about what I wanted to say to you, I decided that I would attempt to give you as much advice as possible in this short amount of time that I'm given. Since I'm somewhat older, although not a whole lot, wiser, etc., I feel that I am highly qualified to do that. Lots of people are going to give you lots of advice over the next few months, and I, of course, want mine to be the best. I also want to give you better advice than what my parents gave me as I left for college. I have a very clear image of that first day as my parents dumped me and my belongings into a dorm room. They were pulling away, and I was standing on the sidewalk as my dad hollers out the car window, "Don't take wooden nickels." What? It's literally the worst advice ever. So, with that as my baseline, I believe I can do better. So, advice. I realize that as I try to type this, I'm actually not that good at giving advice. It seems to run in my family. Blankness turns to writer's block, which turns to panic. As I stare at the page and that flashing cursor that mocks me, I now understand how some of you must have felt dealing with all of those essays that I assigned. I pull myself together, and I realize that I had the answer all along. WWWCS. Not familiar? I turned to my #1 historical boyfriend for help. WWWCS. What would Winston Churchill say? And it turns out, quite a bit, and most of it not really appropriate for this speech. However, I was able to narrow down to 2 of my very favorite quotes. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And continuous effort, not strength or intelligence, is the key to unlocking potential. Hard work and dedication truly do matter in life, and both of these would have been much more appropriate options than what my dad left me. Advice can be found in the most obvious places in quotes. The cliched and probably overquoted Robert Frost poem, "Two roads diverged in a wood and I took the one less traveled by," and that has made all the difference. Regardless of how often that is quoted, it is still my very favorite, and something that I have found to be so true in my own life. However, keeping to the same theme and maybe less known is country music singer Dolly Parton, who says, "If you don't like the road you're walking, start paving another one." As a history teacher, looking to major historical figures is certainly another option for advice. I find that the harder I work, the more luck I seem to have. Thomas Jefferson. Believe you can, and you are halfway there. Teddy Roosevelt. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other. Abraham Lincoln. And maybe not quite as historically significant, do or do not, there is no try. Yoda from The Empire Strikes Back. Minus the voice. Movies and music can be an endless source of inspiration, but I feel there is no need to quote any other song than my personal favorite, "Don't Stop Believing," by quite possibly the best band of the 20th century, Journey. I also find that as I am searching, books can be an excellent source of wisdom. Again, there are endless quotes to be found, but one of my favorites comes from the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. The main character is a young shepherd who is traveling from Spain to Egypt in search of treasure. Along the way, he encounters an old king who tells him, "Never stop dreaming. When you want something, all the universe conspires to help you achieve it." And I find this, first of all, to be very true, and also very comforting. You certainly will have to meet the universe halfway, but once you've decided what you want in your life, things just have a way of presenting themselves to you. Sometimes, all it takes is being brave enough to realize it. Oftentimes, opportunities don't come in the packages you expect, or sometimes even want, and yet can turn out better than you ever could have imagined. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, if this were one of my essays, Ms. Roweller would have written lack of thesis, original evidence, and I would have to agree. I have been using the words of others, so now it's time to get to my point. Many of you have been to room 3211. You may have noticed, or never noticed, a framed poster I have above the bulletin board. An idealistic young teacher bought that for her very first classroom a certain number of years ago. It's me, just in case you're wondering. On the poster are a group of funky-looking paintbrushes with the words, "Life's too short to be ordinary. Make your life extraordinary." And that is my wish for you, to figure out what you want your life to be like and do everything in your power to make that happen. Have goals, work hard, and enjoy your life. Be the very best version of yourself that you possibly can be. When you walk across this stage soon, it is a clean slate, a fresh start. Live the life that you could only possibly dream of. You owe it not only to yourself, but to every single person in this room who has supported and loved you for the past 18 years. One final quote I'd like to leave you with. When you do common things in life in an uncommon way, you will command the attention of the world. George Washington Carver. You have our attention, and the world and all its opportunities are yours. So whether it's Oprah, Dr. Seuss, Mahatma Gandhi, or all of us gathered here tonight, we are all rooting for you. We wish you nothing but success and happiness. And my final charge to you is this, to go forth and to be extraordinary. To conclude, metaphors and quotes aside, I do have actual concrete evidence for you. No matter where you plan to go to college, always be sure to wear a pair of shoes in the shower. Communal dorm bathrooms are some of the most disgusting things I have ever encountered. And always be sure that you are registered and actually go vote every 2 years. Congratulations to you, class of 2013. I think that you are truly extraordinary. It has been a pleasure to be your teacher this year, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you. And I hope that maybe one small piece of advice will be useful or helpful to you as you stand on some sidewalk someday, contemplating your new life and what the future holds. Thank you.
It is my pleasure to present to you the class of 2013. As principal of Highland Park Senior High School, I affirm to you that each student who receives his or her diploma tonight has met or exceeded the requirements for a high school diploma as determined by the state of Minnesota, the Board of Education for the St. Paul Public Schools, and Highland Park Senior High School. I present St. Paul Public High School's Highland Park Senior High School class of 2013.
And by the Board of Education of Independent School District number 625, I hereby confer upon each of you the high school diploma with all of its rights, privileges, and responsibilities. Congratulations, class of 2013.
Noah Osgum.
Gilad Siegel.
Madison Atterbury.
Malik Knaf DeFreitas.
Wafa Balazir.
Trayvon Neal.
Patricia Beauchamp.
Victor Nealon.
Bilal Bergen.
Charles Nelson.
Viviana Blanco.
Cora Rose Nelson.
Jared Bloom.
Han Nguyen.
Aaliyah Boone.
Quan Nguyen.
Tevin Bordeaux.
Min Nguyen.
Ator McReynolds.
Congratulations.
Delaney Rover.
Aiden Coleman.
Kathleen Nystrom.
Mauricio Mata Thielen.